Hello, my name is JD Rebel Ruddle, and welcome to the Rebel Review. Tonight, I'm going to do my top 25 horror movies, and I've judged these off of how many times I know I've watched these, and how much I've enjoyed watching them over the years, and if they have still stayed relevant with me over the years. Some of them are older movies, some of them are early 2000s. So follow along, and if you hear me cuss from time to time and it offends you, well, that's just tough shit now, isn't it? So we're going to start with number 25 from the year 1991, Child's Play 3. Child's Play 3 is where Andy is in the military academy, and Chucky's found him while while he's going through that. And although it's not the most memorable of all the Chucky movies, it's still really good. Even though it's really cheesy, I'm just a really big Chucky fan. That's the reason why while Child's Play 3 comes in at number 25 for me. Number 24, Friday the 13th, Part 4, and that was filmed in 1984. I'm trying to remember if I think that's the one after what's his name? Corey Feldman. I believe Corey Feldman was part of part 3. But I also remember that part 3 was the first Friday the 13th movie where we see Jason with his hockey mask on for the entire portion of the film. Number 23, Mary Schillers Frankenstein from 1994. If you haven't seen that, Robert De Niro plays the part of the monster. Kenneth Branagh plays the part of Dr. Victor Frankenstein. And Helen Bonham Carter plays the part of Victor's fiancée. The movie is really graphic. It seems really authentic to me because it's obviously set in the time frame, like I guess that would be like 19th century, and Kenneth Branagh has just an amazing performance, and as well as Robert De Niro. I mean, they're just fantastic. If you want to see a brilliantly acted out horror movie, Frankenstein from 1994 is your movie, and that comes in at number 24 for me. Number 23. Sorry. Coming in at number 22 is Stephen King's It from 2017. We'll get to the other one later, as it's on my list as well. But the version from 2017 of Stephen King's it was really good. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It just didn't really. It lived up to the hype, but it didn't live up to expectations of. Did it do better than Tim Curry? Did it do better than Jonathan Brandis? Did it do better than all these other characters that were in the original It? And even though it was a great movie, it just didn't outperform the original, in my opinion. But it still had the elements of horror and mystique that captivates an audience, and it's still a really good movie. And that's why it makes number 22 on my list. Number 21, Friday the 13th, Part 3, which was filmed in 1982, the year I was born. Corey Feldman had an important role. Kind of I don't think I would call it a minor role. or even a small role. It was still just because I'm trying to spit out facts here, not just irrelevant, boring bullshit. But part three, like I said a few minutes ago, is the first one where we see Jason Voorhees with his hockey mask on all the way through the film, and Corey Feldman's introduction into it seemed really weird at first and awkward and just a little uncomfortable. But as the movie progresses, his character evolves and kind of grows, and you really see him really take on almost a whole new character in the movie. And Corey, and it has to be one of his first films for Corey Feldman, and he did such a great job in it. You could tell from an early age that Corey Feldman was really gifted. Um, Number 20 for me is Child's Play 2 from 1990. This is the one where Andy has to go to a foster home. At this point, his mom, I think she was locked up at the like in a mental institution at the end of the second one, or gone to prison. Shit, I don't fucking remember. I just remember that Andy Barkley being in foster care really messed him up. Um, the girl that was also in this foster home, uh, she was kind of a rebel, and she really helped Andy out a lot. She really sympathized with him. Their characters were relatable, obviously, because they came from broken homes. Um, so it had an emotional feel to it, but it also had and because it had that emotional feel to it, and those two characters have that bond, it also has that shock factor uh, that the first one was able to bring. So it still held up, and it was still a good scary movie because although those two characters have that bond, everything that Chucky does just fucks with them both. Yeah, it's just a really good movie. Child's Play 2, I think, is probably one of the best sequels, not just for horror movies, but for sequels in general. Okay, so coming in, that was at number 20, was Child's Play 2. Coming in at number 19, I don't know how this happened, but I have watched Hostel quite a bit more than I've watched Child's Play 2. So at number 19 is Hostel. That movie just all the way through is just random graphic violence and nudity and sex, and you can see why any typical guy would like this garbage. It's not garbage to me. It was like art because that was the way they did it was just so freaking good. And no, I'm not gonna say where it was set because I would probably get it wrong. I don't want to look like a dumbass, even if I've already done it. Um, what was his name? Jay Hernandez. I think, yeah, Jay Hernandez plays the main part, and I've always liked him. He did a really good job in that movie. And you don't expect acting in horror movies to be good, but his was really good. He's really a master actor. So if you know who Jay Hernandez is, give the movie a shot because I think he'll surprise you. I don't want to talk too much about the movie um, because it would just give too much away. But for those of you who like random uh, vi- violence, you'll like Hostel. There's plenty of blood and gore and sex and all that good shit. And number 18, Fright Night from 1985. Fright Night for real. the dance scene, and I've talked about this in a podcast before already, but the dance scene in Fright Night, it's pretty sexy. Amanda Beers from Married with Children is in Fright Night, and her scenes in there, God, she was stupid hot back then. Oh, uh, trying to think of some of the other actors in there. I'm not gonna remember every freaking thing. Brewster. Yeah, I'm trying to remember like some of the characters' names. Uh, at the end of the movie, I, even though it's when the credits are rolling, it should have been put in another part of the movie. Brewster, you're so cool. It's Sprite. It's not alcohol. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Where are we at? So, but go if you haven't seen a good vintage horror movie. It's about vampires and ghouls and goblins. Just go watch it. It's a really good movie. But let's see here. So on to number 17, Dark Skies from 2013. It's about alien abduction. It is so good. I don't want to talk too much about it because I just want you to go fucking watch it. Carrie Russell's in it. Number 16, Halloween H2o. I know some people are going to hear that and go, oh my god, seriously? H2o? Really? By the way, Halloween in 2018 didn't have Josh Hartnett. He's not in Halloween Kills. I don't understand why he just kind of disappeared. Doesn't make any fucking sense. And this cast that they have for this last one's supposed to bring back some of the other characters from some of the other movies. There's no mention of Laurie Strode's son in any of the other movies. How ridiculous is that? But for the movie itself, I really liked it. It was just the obviously the storyline and Michael Myers doing his thing. I love the Halloween series. Uh, it was really hard, really narrowing down which ones I thought were the best ones because there's more than one on here on my list. But Halloween H2o is one of my favorite just because it was in the kind of the late '90s, and you know, at the time I was a teenager, so when you're a teenager, the music you hear and the movies you hear and the things that are going on and around the world really have a profound impact on who you become as a person. And I think that's the reason why the movie did that much for me. Even though it was really cheesy, it was like, and at the end, uh, when you see Jamie Lee Curtis cut off Michael Myers' head, and then it's described in Halloween Resurrection that she didn't really cut off his head, she cut off someone else's head. That was just kind of crazy to me. Okay, so moving on, going to number 15, we have Interview with the Vampire. There's a lot of movies on here from 1994. There's another one. An Interview with the Vampire is such a good, not just a good vampire movie, just a good movie. Such a good movie. You got Christian Slater, Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst. It's just an amazing cast and an amazing story. Anne Rice is just a brilliant author, and I love her work. And Interview with the Vampire is just a great example of a great vampire story. If you haven't seen Interview with the Vampire, please do, because you're robbing yourself of a great movie. On to the next one. Number 14, Silver Bullet. Another 80s movie. It's from 1985. It had Corey Haim of the two Coreys, and it had Gary Busey in it. I can't remember the other actors right offhand, but it was one of the very first werewolf movies I ever saw, and it was probably the very first werewolf movie that actually scared me. Like as a kid, it was like, wow, this is so cool. You know, at this point, I've only seen The Wolfman from 1941 and Teen Wolf, and so seeing my first werewolf movie that actually has serious amount of violence, and it's a serious werewolf storyline. Uh, I really enjoyed it then. I still enjoy it now. I've got it on DVD. I should probably watch it sometime this month, considering it's October and Halloween is just a couple of weeks away. I love scary movies. If you have not seen Silver Bullet, please go watch it. Aliens from 1986 makes number 13 on the list for me. There's just something about Sigourney Weaver makes the movie. And Alien from 1979 makes number 12 for me. Again, Sigourney Weaver running around a spaceship half naked with an alien chasing her ass, trying to eat her. That's pretty good fucking storyline. Number 11, The Possession from 2012. For I think all of the movie, there wasn't anybody I knew going into the movie. I knew who Jeffrey Dean Morgan was, but that was it. I didn't know anybody else, but that was enough for me because I really liked him, and it has nothing to do with The Walking Dead because I stopped watching The Walking Dead before he started on the show. But it's a great movie. I don't want to talk too much about it because, well, I can save the movie review for The Possession on another day because it's just such a really profound movie. It just had a really profound impact on me because it was the first possession, kind of movie where there's exorcisms going on. God, I have to find my words. How ridiculous. You get on a podcast and have moments where you pause. Well, that helps out, doesn't it? But the movie is just phenomenal from start to finish. Constant moments where you're being pulled in and pulled in and pulled in back into the story from, watching how the people in the movie progress and react to certain things throughout. It's just really, even though I only knew Jeffrey Dean Morgan going into the movie, everybody in the movie was really, really good. And now that I'm thinking about it, I said I don't know any of the other actors. The main actress who plays the ex-wife of Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it is Kira Sedgwick. That's Kevin Bacon's wife. I said I didn't know any of the other actors, but those are the only two that I do know of. And every one of them did an amazing job. Even the guy that played the part of the rabbi who helps out this family in the movie. So go check out The Possession. Again, that is number 11 on my list. Number 10, Freddy versus Jason. So we've made it to the top 10. a movie from 2003, which should surprise just about anybody who is an old school fan of horror movies. Um, because it's like, how does Freddy versus Jason wind up on your top 10 list, let alone your top 25 list? So 2003, I was working at a movie theater. That's the fucking reason why. And seeing a movie for free, even when it's a Freddy or a Jason movie, it's like, fuck yeah. So not only did I get to see it for free, I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I think I was pretty lit for that. Like, I was off of work. I wasn't working that day, but I came in and I was just lit, and I watched Freddy versus Jason, um, and that was just a great time. Uh, all the effects and the terrible script and the non-polarizing characters. It was just the violence and it being Freddy and Jason that drew me into it, and it's just a good movie from start to finish. It, people are gonna have some movies that you don't like on their list, like The Evil Dead. I never liked the Evil Dead movies because I was never a Bruce Campbell guy. Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 9 from 2002, Queen of the Damned. Um, a lot of people would tell you that the soundtrack is better than the movie, and it is. But the movie, to me, number one, because it's written by Anne Rice, and I love Anne Rice. Uh, and number two, not the soundtrack, not necessarily the spoken word songs like Korn and Marilyn Manson and Disturbed, but the actual score. The score makes the movie because it's so eerie. When you get to a scene like Lestat and Marius on the beach with the gypsies and they start playing the violin, so good, so good. The score really makes some of the scenes in the movie, and Stuart Townsend just does a hell of a job as Lestat, and of course Aaliyah plays the part of Akasha, the Queen of the Damned, and that was her last movie. For those who don't know who Aaliyah was, she was a famous musician, and she passed away, I believe, during the making of this film. So I didn't watch a whole lot of her movies. I probably didn't listen to her a lot of her songs. I just knew who she was. I think I saw her in the movie with Jet Li called Romeo Must Die, and I remember liking it pretty well. So I can't say that she was a terrible actress because as a vampire, she did a badass job. So go watch Queen of the Damned. That makes number 9 for me. Number 8 from 1998. This was the first rated R movie I saw in a movie theater because my best friend got me into it, got me into the movie. I was like, let's go see whatever it was that I wanted to see. It was like my second option because I would rather have seen the movie that he got me into. And so we saw Bride of Chucky. And that makes number 8 on my list. I'm just a really big fan of Chucky and Child's Play. And, getting to see your first rated R movie, I was only like 15 or 16 at the time, so I wasn't old enough to get into a rated R movie, but my buddy's like, screw that, we're going to go see this. You're going to see your first rated R movie. And he was the same age as me. So it wasn't like he was doing anything big, but it was cool that both of us got in to see a rated R movie at the time, being underage. And it made me a huge Rob Zombie fan because it was the first time I ever heard Rob Zombie on the soundtrack of Bride of Chucky. It's got a badass soundtrack. I can't remember all the people that are on it because it's been a while since I actually listened to the soundtrack music from it. But Rob Zombie's got at least two tracks on there, and uh, that's when I became a huge Rob Zombie fan. So I have my old buddy Brad from Owasso High School to thank for that. All right, what else we got on here? Number 7 on my list, the first Child's Play from 1988. And, being introduced to Chucky for the first time, uh, it was terrifying because it was like, oh my god, it's a fucking doll and it's attacking that little boy. So potentially one of my dolls can come to life and kill me. Well, this scares the shit out of me now. I don't know if having stuffed dolls is a good idea. Oh boy, now our kid's never going to go to sleep, is he? So, seeing the Child's Play movies pretty early on is probably what made me such a big fan of it because the movies that you see over and over early on in your childhood is going to make a profound impact on you, and it's going to make you want to watch those movies over and over throughout your life because that became a staple in your childhood, and Child's Play was definitely a staple in my childhood. Okay, we're getting closer to the top. We're almost done. Number 6 from 2014, As Above, So Below. Uh, I don't know how many people out there dislike or like the movie, but it is one of my all-time favorite scary movies. It keeps me guessing, and I'm always on edge every time I watch it, even though I've seen it at least 50 times by now. I'm just captivated from start to finish from the storyline. It's just brilliantly put together, and being set in the catacombs of Paris, France, it doesn't get any better than that for me because you got your element of surprises, and it's haunting because you have people that are dealing with claustrophobia and people that are dealing with disasters and shit coming up that don't need to come up while they're trying to discover stuff. It's just such a great movie. I love As Above, So Below. If you haven't seen it and you want to see something that's set in the catacombs of Paris, France, As Above, So Below is your movie. Number 5 from 1987, The Lost Boys. Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim. All great reasons uh, to watch this movie. And then you also had the guy who played Herman Munster in the Munsters, and he was also in Pet Cemetery. I'm never gonna remember his fucking name. I'm usually good with actors, but I'm not gonna remember his. Maybe if I look it up on my phone. So, who played Herman Munster in The Munsters?
Herman Munster was played by Fred Gwynne.
I don't think that's the same guy. I'm talking about two fucking different people. Just ignore me. That's not the same guy who's in The Lost Boys. Anyways, on the more important shit. That's embarrassing looking up somebody in the middle of your podcast not knowing who the fuck it is. Anyways, The Lost Boys has a great soundtrack to it, and not just the score, but a great soundtrack. Uh, It's got Pink Floyd on there, and I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. Um, so go watch The Lost Boys. It is one of the best vampire movies you could ever see. Join us, Michael. Be one of us. Number 4. This is going to get a lot of heat. Halloween 2007. That's number 4 for me. I absolutely love Halloween 2007, and I love it far more than I do the other ones. And I'm just, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan because I love his music. I don't necessarily love his movies at all. His type of movie generally is not my cup of tea, but I liked that it had an origin story, and we got to see Michael Myers evolve as a person. Um, the backstory really did it for me. I love that. It was far more violent and far more graphic, and the shock factor was really a big thing for it. It had some shit that didn't need in it. Rob Zombie's imagination really gets carried away with him, and the we don't. I'll just say it. We don't need fucking rape scenes in movies. It's not necessary. Nobody wants to relive that who's been in that situation. Rape scenes don't need to be in fucking movies. Unless you're doing a biographical and you're showing that something happened to somebody who has to go to court for being, and they're a victim who's been sexually assaulted or raped, then I see where it's relevant. In a scary movie where you're just trying to make things scary, you don't need to have a goddamn rape scene. It's fucking stupid, and it's just, we don't need that kind of shit in Halloween movies. We don't. Nobody wants to see that. But the rest of the movie I thought was really good. Again, with the things that are unnecessary, I'm pretty sure that there were at least 20 or 50 times where the cussing in Halloween 2007 really went overboard, and it's like, God, some of the things they say in there is really fucking gross. Like, nobody wants to fucking hear that. Rob Zombie just gets really fucking carried away, and when it comes to being shocking, I think he cares more about that than anything else. Because when you see movies like House of a Thousand Corpses or The Devil's Rejects, you're gonna get random violence and gore and nothing but cussing, and it's just, that's fine. That's cool. I liked Hostel for all those reasons. I can't bring myself for some reason to enjoy Rob Zombie's other movies besides Halloween 2007. And for all the reasons that everybody else hated it, I liked it because it had an origin story. It showed why Michael was, psychotic, why he was the way he was, why he did the things he did. And a lot of people that were fans of the original franchise are like, "Well, we don't need an origin story. Why can't Michael just kill people randomly and we not know whatever happens, you know, we don't need a reason, basically. And just let him kill people." But the people that are saying that, they're not thinking about the story that we were already given in the original Halloween, which was Michael kills his sister. And so Halloween 2007 comes around, we get that same thing. It's definitely been elaborated. Um, every little fucking detail, right down to the nude scenes. Uh, we see Michael kill more than just his sister. He goes on a killing spree, and that one night, and just a few short hours. Of course, in movie time, it was like 3 minutes. And although the origin story is really short lived in the movie, in my opinion, and it didn't need to go on any longer than it did. I think that the origin story just really pissed a lot of people off. Like, there's just too much of that. We don't need that. He can just do just random killings. We don't understand why it has to be a fucking origin story. Some of us like the origin story. Some of us like that Halloween 2007 was a better movie than the rest of them for the fact that it was actually scary, for the fact that there was actual violence, there was actual blood, and the original didn't show any of that fucking shit. Not one fucking. You go back and watch the original Halloween and tell me if you see any fucking blood or gore or straight up just badass violence throughout the whole fucking movie. If you saw any of those three things, you are smoking some serious crack. The original Halloween sucked so much ass. I don't know why why even John Carpenter even did anything with it. According to John Carpenter, he wrote what was it, Halloween or Halloween 2 on a 6 pack and 2 packs of cigarettes, something to that effect. And I never cared for the original Halloween. I just thought it was just dumb. It did nothing for me. I watched it for the first time when I was about 9 years old. I'm like, huh, it didn't do anything for me. So I will never be a fan of the original Halloween. I'll always like Halloween 2007 better. And even though a lot of people will think, yeah, I'm not going to listen to any more of your reviews based on that. Yeah, you don't have to. I don't give a shit if you do or not. This is the Rebel Review, and I'm going to review the movies that I like, that I don't like, and if you don't like it, we are on to number 3 from 1992, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Gary Oldman plays the best Dracula that anybody could have asked him to do. All due respect to Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula in 1931, Gary Oldman is better. Far better than anybody played Dracula. I really liked Luke Evans' version of Dracula, even though it was more focused on the evolution uh, of how Dracula kind of came to be, rather than what we got in Bram Stoker's Dracula. But Gary Oldman is the Mecca in my view. Anthony Hopkins is in the movie. Keanu Reeves is in the movie. Winona Ryder, Carrie Elwes. That's as many as I can think. Tom Waits. He plays the part of Renfield. Um, trying to remember. I'm not an insane man, Doctor. I'm a sane man fighting for his soul. Oh, it's lunatic. I'm not a lunatic. But it's Bram Stoker's Dracula is just like the greatest one of the greatest vampire movies out there. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it because it's dark, it's gothic, it's brooding, it's gritty. Uh, parts of it will leave you breathless, and parts of it will make you go scare the shit out of you. Like, I'm not going to sleep. I need to watch Wayne's World, something. I need to watch something on Disney Plus, Fox and the Hound. I'm not going to bed now, not after watching that. Uh, for the first couple of times I saw Bram Stoker's Dracula, that was the mindset I was in afterwards. I was like, uh-uh. And it's really not that scary of a movie, unless you're really scared easily. Say it like that. It's just if you're scared by vampires, then it's gonna scare you more than your other vampire movies. Uh, it obviously deals with the devil and demons, but not in the way you might think. And also in this movie, Dracula takes on several different forms, which is the only Dracula movie that does that. Watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. I promise you won't be let down. It's the best Dracula movie out there. And that was at number 3 for me. Number 2 is The Wolf Man from 1941. Damn, we're going on 41 minutes. This is going to be the longest podcast I have on here. So I'll hurry up with it. Lon Chaney Jr. is from Oklahoma. He played the part of the Wolf Man. Lawrence Talbot is the character who becomes the Wolf Man. We also have Claude Rains and Ralph Bellamy in the movie. If you don't know who Ralph Bellamy is, he's also been in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd and Don Amici and Jamie Lee Curtis. Go check out Trading Places. I just plugged a movie and a reign of horror movies that didn't think would come up, but it did. The best way I can put it, The Wolf Man is probably the darkest movie I've ever seen. And when I say that, I mean in the tone. It's brooding from not necessarily from start to finish, but from the time the first transformation kind of takes place, from the first time that Gwen and Lawrence Talbot and Gwen's friend go out into the woods. From that point on until the end of the movie, it is a dark, sinister, brooding movie, and it never stops. The score for it was perfect. Cannot ask for a better score for a werewolf movie. You can't ask for a better score for a horror movie. It stands out among a lot of the scores out there, and I will bring up the soundtrack again in another podcast when I do a podcast strictly on just soundtracks. So on to number 1. The number 1 movie out of my top 25 horror movies is from 1990. Stephen King's It, the original, with Tim Curry, Jonathan Brandis, Seth Green. Some of these guys have smaller parts. John Ritter has a part in it as well. It is just the scariest fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. I think it scarred me for life, really. I mean, it was one of the very, very first scary movies I ever saw, and that's the reason why it stuck with me for so long. If you don't want to see a fucking scary ass clown kill a bunch of people, don't fucking watch this movie. If you're a giant puss and you can't handle blood, don't watch this movie. If you're a giant wuss and you can't handle clowns in movies at all, don't watch this movie. If you are a snowflake, don't watch this movie. And that applies for a lot of you out there. But for all the good reasons that you should watch a horror movie, do watch this movie because it will scare the living fuck out of you. I can't tell you how many times I have had to watch Fievel Goes West or fucking Rescuers Down Under after watching this damn movie because I was scared shitless. It's like, I'm gonna watch a movie before I go to bed, and it's gonna be Disney. And you wanna know why? Because I just watched the scariest damn movie I've ever seen in my life. I would watch Stephen King's It over and over and just constantly scare myself until I damn near pissed myself. And why do we do that? Because we like to be scared. We like to have that edge. We like to have that rush, and I think that's why we watch scary movies. We just love to be scared, and so I'm going to end it on that note. Let me see my list. So I can talk to you a little bit about the podcast that we do have coming up. I've already done one on the creature features. That's good. Okay, here we go. So the next podcast that we're going to have, the 5 greatest Western icons, and I will on that show at the tail end of it, I'll include the 5 greatest horror icons. Other podcasts coming up: best movies with animals, top 25 historical movies, top 10 saddest movies, top 25 westerns of all time, top 25 comedies of all time. That'll be fun. Top 5 Sylvester. I said Sylvester. Top 5 Sylvester Stallone movies. Top 10 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Yeah, I couldn't come up with a top 10 Stallone movies. Sorry. Top 10 Adam Sandler movies. Top 10 Clint Eastwood movies. Top 10 John Wayne movies. Oh, I'm going to enjoy that. And top 20 Disney movies. That's the lineup, not necessarily in that order, for the next podcast coming up. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Thank you very much.